Peter and Harry have been captured by Kraven, and Peter's son Richard is now Spider-Man fighting a new black cat. Welcome to the Comicstorian Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible binds to help you understand. Then we read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. If you enjoy these stories, be sure to support the industry and go check them out at your local comic shop. Ultimate Spider-Man continues today after Harry and Peter went missing during the holidays. And with his father gone, Richard decided to fill in for him as Spider-Man with the high-tech spider suit. Today, we learn their fate in Ultimate Spider-Man, issue 14 by Jonathan Hickman. I hope you enjoy. Black Cat leaps at Richard, swiping at him with her claws as he flips over the attack in his father's nano spider suit. "Who are you?" Richard demands. Black Cat whirls back around and prepares for another attack. "I told you, I'm the new Black Cat, and that's only because you and your friend threw my father off a building," she hisses. But Richard shakes his head. "Look, I don't know who you think I am, but you got the wrong guy. I don't even know your dad. And even if I did, I wouldn't push him off a building," he shouts. But the Black Cat leaps forward and slashes again and again. "Just because you got a new suit doesn't mean you can hide from who you are and what you did," she snaps. But Richard finally allows the mask to slide away, revealing the fact that he's just a kid. "You know what? I'll just show you. I'm not Spider-Man," he tells her, putting his hands up as a sign of truce. The cat suddenly stops short and stares in shock. "How old are you?" she demands. "I'm 15 and a half. How old are you?" Richard asks as he folds his hands over his chest. "Almost 17, Black Cat finally admits. The two stare at each other for a moment. "I'm Richard," Richard finally says. "I'm Felicia," Black Cat answers with a sigh. Meanwhile, far beneath the city, Peter and Harry are still making their way through the Savage Lands, riding dinosaurs that they have defeated and trying to stay one step ahead of Kraven. But Harry is afraid they are becoming lost. "Hey man, are you even listening to me? You need to focus on the right now," Harry says, with Peter not responding. Peter finally glances over his shoulder. "You need to focus on that and nothing else, because we have to succeed in this before we can do anything about what's out there. And you need to come to grips with what has to happen," Harry says. Peter glares at him. "Don't tell me what I have to do, Harry. I know what I have to do," Peter snaps back. He points out that they need to escape and hide their families. But the conversation is interrupted as a gunshot thunders through the jungle. A high-powered round rips through the head of their dinosaur mount, dropping it and throwing both heroes to the ground. "I'm stuck!" Harry shouts as he struggles to pull his leg free from beneath the dinosaur's weight. Peter moves fast and pulls the creature off. "Ugh, something's wrong with my leg," Harry hisses in pain. Another gunshot sounds, and a second round hits the dino, ripping it from Peter's hands. The two heroes move fast, ducking behind a nearby rock. Now, come out and play. It's no fun if you simply wait for your death," Kraven whispers to himself as he watches the rock through his scope. Meanwhile, Harry rubs his leg behind the rock, feeling that something is wrong with his ankle. Another gunshot sounds as Kraven tries to draw them out. "We've got to get to cover in the jungle. It's not far. I'll distract him, then you run for it," Peter hisses as he motions to the jungle around them. He suddenly steps out from behind the rock and stands in the open. "Now, Harry, go now!" Peter shouts. His mind suddenly begins to race, warning him of impending danger. Suddenly, he leaps out of the way, flipping and dodging as two shots rip into the rocks around him. Shortly, he joins Harry in the jungle. "That was really dumb, Peter," Harry snaps at him. Peter shakes his head and explains about his danger sense. "We need to keep moving," Peter whispers to him. But they both turn in shock as the Mole Man steps out from the shadows of a tree.
"I find it quite doubtful you'll make it out of here. At least not without some help,"
the Mole Man tells them. He holds up his staff and bangs it against the ground. Peter and Harry stare in shock as a secret tunnel is opened and mole people step out.
"Fortunate for you, I am a man of means, especially in this place."
the Mole Man says as he pats the head of one of his subjects.
This is my domain, my refuge, my place of peace, and I do not care for this current disturbance,
Mole Man tells them. But Harry isn't convinced. You're one of them, so why would you betray the Kingpin to help us? He asks. But Mole Man smiles and shakes his head.
Oh no, I would never dare to do such a thing over such things as you, but the Kingpin knows not of Kraven's excursion. So, as for why I would be helping you, that's really none of your business,
the Mole Man says. He motions once more to the tunnel, and the mole people reach out and take Peter and Harry's hands, pulling them down into safety. They pull the cover closed behind them, leaving Mole Man alone. But he's not alone for long.
What are you doing here?
Mole Man asks as he turns and finds Mysterio watching behind him. Just observing this dangerous game you're playing. It's surprising how delightful, Mysterio says with a shrug. But Mole Man waves away the idea.
The closer we get to our day of action, the more I fear it will be the end of us both,
Mole Man says. But when he turns back, he finds the Mysterio has already disappeared. Back in the city, Richard and Felicia are sitting on the rooftop, watching as the sun rises over the skyline of New York. Felicia explains how she was trained by her father in secret to take over his portion of the Kingpin's kingdom, but that she doesn't even want it, and doesn't even consider herself a supervillain. So, what does your dad do? Felicia asks, glancing at the young hero. Careful, Richard, the nanosuit Peter whispers inside Richard's head. I'd love to tell you, but I'm a superhero, and that means I'm supposed to protect the identities of those close to me, Richard tells her. Felicia smirks and glances at him. Well, now I'm really curious, she says. Meanwhile, the hunt continues. Peter and Harry have made it back to the surface, using their bomb collars to set up a trap for Kraven. Well, we're close to the edge. We could be out of here soon, Peter notes, motioning to the edge of the Savage Lands. But Harry shakes his head, still believing that they should fight and kill Kraven. We've talked about this. MJ, the kids, Gwen, they're just out there, unprotected with no idea what might be coming for them, Peter points out. But Harry shakes his head, explaining that he put measures in place to protect Gwen if he should go missing. He would have had Dr. Octavius do the same for Peter, but Peter didn't want his identity revealed. Peter nods in understanding and motions for Harry to follow him. We're almost out of here, Peter whispers. Suddenly, the jungle erupts in a hail of gunfire. Kraven steps out from the tree line with a massive minigun, laughing as he fires at his prey. I'm getting really tired of this guy, Harry shouts as they both take cover. But Peter leaps forward, dodging the bullets until Kraven's weapon finally clicks on empty. You're out, Peter shouts as he rushes forward. But Kraven pulls out another rifle. I have as many guns as there are ways to hunt my prey. Don't you see? I have hunted everything and never failed to catch them. There is nowhere you can run. Kraven calls as he readies the weapon. Peter nods as he realizes that Kraven is standing near their trap. Do it, Harry! Peter shouts. Harry stands and throws a rock, hitting the bomb collars that they had set up as a trap. The explosion rips through the forest, hitting Kraven and knocking him away. But he is back on his feet in moments, blood dripping from several wounds as he draws his knife. It's been some time since I've been truly tested. That was a good trap, but it wasn't enough. Kraven growls. He charges forward, slashing at Peter, but Peter easily dodges the attack and disarms Kraven, hitting him hard in the face and bringing him down. Kraven, hunt's over, Peter says as he hits him again and again. He picks up Kraven's fallen rifle and snaps it in half. Did you really think you could kill someone like me with a gun? Peter asks as he stands over Kraven, hitting him again and again. But he finally stops. Do it, Peter! Finish him! Harry calls. But Peter refuses. He refuses to become a killer like Kraven. And Harry is shocked. What are you talking about, Peter? He won't stop until he wins. It's him or it's us, Harry shouts. Peter turns to look at his friend, and in that moment, Kraven draws a revolver and fires. Peter is given no warning, and the round rips through his side. He stares down at the blood in shock. I didn't feel any danger. Why? Peter gasps. The Kraven just smiles and motions over the hero's shoulder. Because I wasn't aiming at you. You were just in the way, Kraven tells him. Peter turns in shock to see Harry on the ground. The gunshot had gone through his head. You should have listened to your friend, for he was right. I will never stop. The hunt never ends, Kraven says with a mouth full of blood. Peter bellows with rage and rushes forward. He hits Kraven again and again until the villain is bleeding everywhere. But as Peter raises his fist to deal the killing blow, he is stopped by a new voice. Well, this is quite the dilemma, isn't it? Mysterio calls from beneath a tree. Peter turns in shock to see the villain standing before him. Normally we would be enemies, but I have plans. But should Kraven die, should you continue beating him to death, then his end would mean my full attention would turn onto you. So I have to ask, is that really what you want? Mysterio asks. Peter doesn't understand, but Mysterio shrugs. He motions to the exit of the Savage Land in the distance. I think you should run home now, Peter Parker. You couldn't save your friend, but perhaps you can still save them, Mysterio suggests. Peter stares at him for a moment before finally turning, running for the exit and not looking back. Later, Peter falls through the door of his apartment. MJ is shocked and rushes to his side, demanding to know where he's been for the last several months. She wants to know what's happened. Peter finally looks up at her. Harry's dead. I couldn't save him. They know. They know who we really are. They know about you, about the kids. They know everything. He gasps. She looks at him in shock, asking what they should do. And Peter looks at her. We run, Peter whispers. And so concludes issue 14 of Amazing Spider-Man. Harry is dead, Kraven is after the Parkers, and who knows what's happening between Richard and Felicia. But if you want to find out what happens next, subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon for when the next issue comes out. And be sure to leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought of today's video. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.